why you feel guilty for resting even when you are completely exhausted. You finally stop working. You sit down. Your body is tired, but your mind refuses to rest. Instead, a quiet voice appears. You should be doing something. And somehow, resting feels wrong, almost irresponsible, even when you are exhausted. Why does your brain turn rest into guilt instead of relief? Because the answer isn't laziness, and it isn't lack of discipline. It's something deeper that most people never notice. Problem deep dive. You know the moment. You close your laptop, but your mind replays unfinished tasks, messages you didn't reply to, plans you didn't start, people who seem more productive than you. Rest stops feeling like recovery. It starts feeling like falling behind. This slowly changes how you see yourself. You stop asking, "Am I tired?" and start asking, "Have I earned rest yet?" Over time, this becomes identity. You begin to measure your worth by output. Productive days feel safe. Quiet days feel uncomfortable. Even relationships start to shift. When someone asks how you are, you answer with how busy you've been, not how you feel. Psychology calls this productivity-linked self-worth. It's a pattern studied in behavioral psychology and personality research. Your brain learns something subtle. Doing equals safety. Resting equals risk. But here's the strange part. This pattern usually forms long before adulthood, and most people never realize when it started, because the brain remembers environments, not just events. Reframe. So let's make something clear. You're not broken. Your brain is doing exactly what it was trained to do. From a neuroscience perspective, guilt is not just an emotion. It's a behavior-correcting signal. It appears when the brain believes you are violating an internal rule, not a real rule, an internal one. For many people, that rule quietly became, rest must be earned. This rule doesn't appear randomly. It usually forms in environments where approval, safety, or stability depended on performance. Maybe praise came when you achieved something. Maybe rest looked like irresponsibility around you. Maybe survival actually required constant effort. So the brain adapted, not to hurt you, but to protect you. It learned a simple equation. Effort equals belonging. Productivity equals security, which means rest now triggers uncertainty. And the brain doesn't like uncertainty. But the deeper reason is even more interesting. It's hidden inside how the brain predicts the future. Psychological mechanism. Your brain is a prediction machine. In cognitive science, this is known as predictive processing. The brain constantly asks one question: what action increases my chances of staying safe tomorrow? Now imagine the brain like a control room. Inside that control room are thousands of past experiences. Moments where effort led to reward. Moments where slowing down led to stress. Over time, the brain builds a mental map. Here's the metaphor. Your brain creates a productivity compass. North points to action, movement, doing. South points to rest. But if your history associated rest with risk, that compass becomes biased. So when you stop working, the brain doesn't see recovery. It sees possible danger, which activates the anterior cingulate cortex, a region involved in error detection. This is the same system that lights up when you make a mistake. To your brain, resting feels like an error signal, not because it actually is, but because your internal model says so. And here's the mental model that explains everything. Your brain isn't reacting to the present moment. It's reacting to a prediction about the future. Rest feels guilty because your brain predicts consequences that may never happen. But predictions can be retrained, slowly. And this is where most advice online gets it wrong. You can't just tell yourself to relax. The brain doesn't change through commands. It changes through experience. Practical framework. So instead of forcing rest, you retrain how your brain understands it. Here are 4 principles grounded in psychology. Principle 1. Redefine rest as active recovery. What to do? Label rest intentionally, not as doing nothing, but as recovery. Say in your mind, this is recovery time. Why it works in the brain. Language shapes neuroframing. Research in cognitive psychology shows that how we label experiences changes emotional response and reduces error signals in the brain. You are updating the internal rule. Rest is no longer violation. It's maintenance. Example, instead of scrolling with guilt after work, you sit down, breathe slowly, and consciously say, I'm restoring energy for tomorrow. Small shift, big neural difference. Principle 2. Give your brain a visible stop signal. What to do? Create a clear end of effort ritual. Close the laptop slowly. Write tomorrow's first task on paper. Then step away. Why it works in the brain. The Zeigarnik effect explains why unfinished tasks stay active in the mind. Writing the next step reduces cognitive tension and tells the brain, this loop is paused, not abandoned. Example, you end work by writing one sentence. Tomorrow, start with email reply to client. Suddenly, the brain relaxes slightly because the loop has somewhere to go. Principle 3. Lower the brain's threat level. What to do? Add calm sensory signals when resting. Dim lights, slow breathing, gentle movement. Why it works in the brain. This activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which tells the brain the environment is safe. When safety signals increase, guilt signals decrease. Example, instead of collapsing into rest while stressed, you take a slow walk outside for 5 minutes. Your brain receives safety data from the body, and predictions slowly update. Principle 4. Build evidence that rest improves performance. What to do? Track one thing. Energy after rest. Just notice it. Why it works in the brain. The brain updates models through prediction error. When rest leads to better focus later, the brain records new evidence. This weakens the guilt association. Example, you rest for 20 minutes. Later, you solve a problem faster than usual. Your brain notices. A small shift happens inside the productivity compass. North and south start balancing again. Integration. So here's the mental model to keep. Your brain isn't punishing you for resting. It's protecting a map that once helped you survive. A map where effort meant safety. But maps can update, not through force, through repeated experience. Each time you rest intentionally, close a loop, lower threat signals, and notice the result. You send new data to the control room. Slowly, the compass recalibrates. Rest stops pointing to danger and starts pointing to restoration. Not instantly, but steadily, quiet, empowering, close. One day, you'll notice something subtle. You'll stop working, and the voice won't rush in immediately. There'll be a small pause, a quiet space. That pause is the brain learning that exhaustion doesn't need punishment, only care, because the truth most people discover too late is this. The mind that never rests eventually stops thinking clearly, but the mind that understands rest becomes stronger in ways effort alone cannot create. And maybe tonight, when you sit down after a long day, instead of asking, did I earn rest? You'll ask something different. Is my brain ready to recover? And that question changes everything.